What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Sunday League Screamers podcast. I'm your host of today's show, Steve McCutcheon, with my two co-hosts, Vito Anazelli and Michael Nowen. We have another great show for you today, but before that, please take a moment, hit the bell, subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you find your podcast. Also follow us on Twitter at the SL_Screamers_pod. We're going to hit the show off with some news and notes from around the world. Pretty much just going to cover the Champions League this week. We got the midweek games coming up. So we got 4 Premier League teams playing. First off, we got Chelsea and Juve. Juve is the only unbeaten team in that group. They got 12 points. Chelsea second with 9. So pretty much both teams are battling for first place right now. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be the decider. I mean, whoever comes away with these 3 points, if it's Chelsea, it's going to be an interesting finish. Juventus automatic qualification at that point. So it's definitely a big match. Home for Stamford Bridge. Hard to see Tuchel not learning from his mistakes, but Juventus is a good team you don't want to sleep on. I think Chelsea nabbed this one at the end, though.
I think Chelsea have been in a pretty fine run of form, especially after this weekend. Juventus, too, if I'm not mistaken, they won over the weekend as well. And from reports coming out, it seems like Dybala might be getting a new contract, so maybe he'll be happier. I kind of see them sharing the points at Stamford Bridge. Juve got the win, if I'm not mistaken, in the first game against Chelsea at home in Turin.
Yeah.
I kind of get the feeling that they might have the opportunity to steal some points here.
Yeah, especially with a couple injuries to that Chelsea front line. No Lukaku for the most part. Kai Havertz apparently just picked up a hamstring injury, so it's going to be kind of a makeshift in and out front 3 for Chelsea most likely. Mount just back in the lineup, and Pulisic the same. And Werner.
Is Werner back, or is he out still?
He's projected to start. He was back in training, so I think he gets the nod this week, understanding that, God forbid, you don't want to hope someone gets injured, but if something did aggravate again, you Romelu Lukaku in the wings who started training again as well. So I think this importance of this match is not going to be lost on Tuchel. I think he'll play Pulisic and Werner.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Chelsea win. Can't let the boys down. Next up, the same day, we have Villarreal hosting Man U. Both teams are tied for first. Man U won the the reverse fixture. Ronaldo, 95th minute winner, was one of the games he saved Ole's job. Unfortunately, we'll get to that later. But both teams are tied on 7 points, and I think Man U just has the head tags. I think Villarreal actually has the goal differential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would love to bet, Manchester United, and I'm kind of learning my lesson here the more I do it. So they just lost Ole. I'm not sure if obviously they're going to have an interim manager most likely for this game. They're probably going to hire somebody. I don't know what the game plan will be, what it should be, but Villarreal is a pretty good team. They're pretty well drilled in general. I kind of get the feeling that Villarreal either gets a draw or a win here. So
it's going to be interesting to see whether or not United gets the old classic not sack bump. That's a bad sentence, but whether you see a bump in performances after the manager, leaves the club. They're talking about, I think it was Fletcher or Carrick or someone coming as interim manager. But everyone on that team is playing for their future at that club at this point. I mean, you can maybe pick a handful of players that are safe, and one of them is Varane, one of them is Ronaldo, who showed up in the middle of the year, and outside of that, probably Bruno Fernandes. So I think you're going to see a different type of fury with this Manchester United team. I also think, it's no secret you don't bet against Cristiano Ronaldo in the Champions League. So all that being said, I think they'll come out a little less flat-footed than we've seen them in the past couple of weeks, and I think Manchester United probably comes away with all 3 points in an albeit sloppy, but they'll do enough.
I got you. I'm gonna take a 1-1 draw on that one. I believe in the manager sacking, the bounce back kind of performances, but Villarreal, I think, is gonna be very hungry for some points as well. So, and late loss, little revenge game.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Liverpool hosting Porto. Liverpool, they've actually played each other quite frequently in the Champions League recently. I think 3 of the last 4 years. And Liverpool has a 4-1-0 record versus them since, and coming off a big win against Arsenal.
Yeah, it's about to be 5-1-0.
Yeah.
They're arguably the most informed team in the planet at this moment in time. I mean, even Bayern just lost. They were my favorites, I think, at this point now to win the Champions League. Even they just lost against, I think it was Augsburg, who they haven't lost to in almost 3 times in, I think, the last 100 years or something like that. Like something absurd. That front line for Liverpool is doing what they were doing the year they won the Champions League. They're doing what they did when they won the Premier League. They are firing all cylinders. And I'm sorry, Porto just doesn't have enough to stop them, I don't think. You have to have a really bad off day for if you're Liverpool to not pick up all 3 points given the form they're in.
Agreed. 5-1-0.
Yeah.
Settled. And then last on the sheet, we got Man City hosting PSG. Obviously, probably the most talked about fixture in the group stages, I think, up to this point in time. So Man City's got a very slender lead, 1 point ahead of them.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling because, obviously Ole got the sack, and there's rumors now coming out too that Pochettino might want to go to the Manchester United job. So part of me kind of thinks, how invested is he really in this PSG team? Not to say he doesn't want to win the Champions League, not to say he doesn't want to beat Pep Guardiola, but I don't know, given the way Man City has been playing recently, if they're going to be able to get the ball from them. Man City's playing so well currently, and I kind of just only see a Man City win in this game, to be honest. So.
Yeah, Messi's off the mark in League One finally. It took a little bit longer than I think anyone in the world would have ever predicted. But it does feel like they're starting to mesh a little bit more. But I'm with you, Mike. Pep Guardiola is the only guy who can play without a striker for 2 years and still be considered probably one of the best teams, if not the best team in the world at almost any point in time. He obviously knows what he's doing. This Manchester City team, although they might have lost that first leg against PSG, I thought they were the better team for a vast majority of that game. And I think they were unlucky not to get something from that match. I think this is going to be a little bit different this time around. I believe it's in the Etihad this time too. No, it's in Manchester.
Correct. Yeah, they're hosting.
Yeah, I think they'll end up splitting the points. There's just too much talent in that PSG side for me not to see them score at least one goal. And I don't know how many chances are really going to be thrown back and forth between these two guys. So I think you're going to see like a 1-1 or 2-2 game here.
Yeah, it is tough to call because like Mike said, the locker room situation at PSG right now is definitely, all the reports coming out of there from the news. It's not as good as it should be. Pochettino possibly 1 foot out the door. They already reached out to the Zidane, from what I understand, to take over just in case Poch does leave. So will be interesting to see. But then again, just the front line that they have is insane. I'm taking a draw here as well. Let's head over to our Stars and Stripes section where we cover the standout United States men's national team's performers across the world. First up, the man in the mirror, Christian Pulisic, comes on as a super sub and got 29 minutes in, scored a goal, could have had another goal, another assist. They're ruled out for offsides. Does he look like he's back? Just the eye test, the 2 international games plus this.
I don't know if he's back, but he definitely looks like he's hungrier than when he was before he took that injury. He's always been a runner. He's been a maximum effort type of guy, and that's why you love to watch him play, mixed with that pace and that dribbling ability. But 3 games, and he's looked good in all 3 of them since coming back. He's probably going to get the nod in that Champions League match. Good for him. That was a big goal against Mexico. That was a big goal against Leicester for his confidence. I think Tuchel has a little bit of confidence in him again. It's really good to see.
Yeah, I just hope that he's able to obviously stay healthy. That's the biggest thing in particular. And maybe it's managing his minutes a little bit better and not making him do like a full 90, but doing what you can to protect him. So hopefully he keeps him warm. That
hard-nosed Italian defense in Juventus is going to be a good test of that fitness, especially coming right back from that injury for the most part.
Yeah, it's tough because he does play a lot like Eden Hazard does, and we saw how much he used to get tackled in the Premier League. Anyone that just drives straight at defenses, Pulisic plays very, very similar. He's just going to go right at defenders, and that's why he gets fouled so much. It's got to take a toll on the body. Next up, we got Jordan P. Folk, another substitute coming, who got on the score sheet. 26 minutes played for Young Boys heading into the Champions League this week. Got the goal in a 1-0 win for him. United States men's national team looking out for him.
I hope so, because I not to go down a rabbit hole, but the one striker was not a good, in my opinion, play to have just one all-on-out striker. So hopefully he comes in, and it's good to see him scoring goals. So
yeah, I think he definitely deserves a look into the team, especially after Josh Sargent's been floundering. Obviously, Jesse Zardes was hurt, and he's not really the future. Outside of that, you really just have Pepe, who hasn't been amongst the goals the last 3 games he's played for the team. And I know he's a young guy. He probably will bounce back eventually, but it's good to have that second option. And watching people doing it in the European League and in the Champions League is, I think, to me, a telltale sign that Greg needs to start looking him into the team more often.
Agreed. And then last up, we had Anthony Robinson and Tim Reed did their usual performance for Fulham, cruise to a 4-1 win. I feel like they are the absolute just great pairing for them on that left side of on the defense right now.
It's almost like every week we talk about the Stars and Stripes. We mention them in some type of form, Fulham's been playing great this season, so I don't want to just say it's all down to them being, kind of stalwarts in the back there, but they've looked good all year. Very good all year.
Yeah, it might be the first time you actually haven't mentioned Brendan Aronson in a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's head over to the weekly recap. We're going to head over to the Premier League games from this previous match week and just kind of recap them for everybody. First up, Saturday morning, Leicester nil, Chelsea 3. Could have been way worse of a scoreline. Chelsea had multiple goals disallowed. It was pretty much an absolute slaughter, in my opinion. Exactly what Chelsea wanted to see after an international break, and the exact opposite of what Leicester wanted to see. They've been shaky with their performances. They kind of feel like up and down. They have a big win, another win, or another draw, something good results, and then all of a sudden, bad loss, and then okay, and then bad loss again. So very tough. What's your guys' kind of take on them right now?
Yeah, I'm starting to ring the alarm bells a little bit if I'm Leicester City. You lose to Chelsea, arguably top 5 team in the world at the moment. It's understandable, but draws at Leeds, who are struggling. You draw to Spartak Moscow at home before that. You lose to Arsenal, who just got absolutely annihilated by Liverpool. And then you have to go to penalties in the EFL Cup against Brighton. I mean, it hasn't been a good month for them, clearly. I think there's enough talent in that team that I'm not too worried about it. But if I'm Brendan Rodgers, it's time to shake things up a little bit, start giving looks to guys who look like they want to be playing and giving it their all at all times, because it's not working for them at the moment.
I mean, right now they're currently sitting as of today in 12th place, 15 points, if you want to take the top 4, which is still pretty open, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are what? They're
8 points off of West Ham.
Off West Ham, yeah, exactly. Like for a team that's been consistently in the European spots the past couple of years, definitely to Vito's point, alarm bells should be ringing at this point in time.
Yeah. They got a couple of big matches coming up though to turn things around. I mean, let's hope they can do it. I like Brendan Rodgers. I love what he's done with that team. I love the way the style and brand of football he has them playing. Jamie Vardy seems to be ageless, and Patson Daka looks like he might be his time to start stepping up. But it's just like you said, it's just at the moment they're in a rough patch. I think they'll pull themselves out of it.
Gotcha. Be interesting to see. Then we head over to Aston Villa, 2-0 to Brighton. Or 2-0 Aston Villa, my apologies.
Yeah, 2-0 Aston Villa. Stevie G's first game in charge, got up and running with a 2-0 win. They left it pretty late in the match. There were a couple decent opportunities for both sides in this match, and the goalkeepers really stood out. I think Emilio Martinez had a very, very good game in net. Aston Villa, despite only seeing about a third of the ball, I think it was overall, they did enough to generate the win. I mean, they had more shots and they did more with possession when they did have the ball. It came down to an Ollie Watkins brilliant solo run in the box, and he curled one past the keeper, Brighton. And then from there, it was icing on the cake with Tyrone Mings coming in the 89th minute. So very good start, up and running for them. I think that was a much needed win that sees them propel up the table a little bit. So it's good to get a little breathing room from the bottom half there, or bottom relegation spots.
Did you get? I don't know how much you've watched any like Scottish football, if at all. How was his major style over there at Rangers and stuff? Were they more of a counterattacking team that just gave away possession and then kind of? I'm honestly not too sure.
No, he was more expansive over in Scotland. I think you have that ability when you're playing with Rangers, who, I mean, they had an invincible season. You can't have an invincible season playing counterattacking football. I think he had him humming, but no disrespect to the Scottish league. It's simply not the Premier League. Any of the teams in relegation right now would potentially be fighting for the top space over there. While Aston Villa this week got the win, it wasn't an overall convincing performance. I mean, yeah, he had a couple days in charge only, so you can't abide by that. You can't make any assumptions off of that. But I think it's going to be similar to what Brendan Rodgers did when he took over at Leicester City. It's just going to take a little bit of time for that methodology and that expansive style of football to really take hold in this team, who's not maybe particularly used to playing that so frequently.
Gotcha. Let me head over to one of the games of the week, I would say. Burnley 3, Palace 3.
Yeah, it was a hell of a game, to say the least. A lot of goals in the first 60 minutes is what it seemed like. And Benteke had a brace. Cornet had a pretty sweet volley. And God, what a signing he's been for Burnley.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're going to have any opportunity to stay up in the league. a lot of it's going to come through him, in all honesty. He's been a player and a half for them. It's been a good game in general, good game to watch. And Crystal Palace now extends their unbeaten streak to 7 games. Also, the only team in the league, I believe, with 7 draws. A story of their season, right? Drawn games, kind of tough learning lessons. But yeah, Crystal Palace again. I think it's a shared points, good points for both teams. So
yeah, it's nice to see Benteke getting on the score sheet with 2 goals. I feel like a lot of times you watch that Crystal Palace team, you're just like, you can tell he's just starved of service a lot of times. So it looks like they're getting the ball to him more frequently, and it's paying dividends because he's a good poacher. He's a good number 9. He's strong. He's in the box. You know what I mean? He can make things happen, hold up play. So I think he's part of the key to releasing Cornet a little bit.
Fun fact too. There's only 5 teams in the Premier League right now with a positive goal differential. We said it was a pretty top heavy league. Crystal Palace are actually one of them. And that's the other top 4 teams, Chelsea, Man City.
+1.
+1. But they're positive.
Yeah, I guess you know what? Given the fact that there's only like 5 of them, I'm going to put Wolves in there. They have a 0 goal differential. I got to give it to them.
They've had, well, I was going to get to that later, but they've had an excellent ascending up the table.
Yes.
I mean, Arsenal too. Although Arsenal had a little bit of a hiccup this past weekend.
Yep.
Next up, we had another big 3-3 game, Newcastle and Brentford. Heartbreak for Eddie Howe. Newcastle drops the points. Probably could have won the game. They looked probably their best going forward, I would say, throughout the season so far. And now they're in last place because Norwich won. So it's going to be interesting in January for them. I don't know exactly how much cash he's going to have to kind of just flash, or if they're going to start selling off some people to create some funds for maybe a drop and then come back up. What's the situation going to go over there? But they definitely need to bolster the squad. And credit to Brentford finally getting a little bit of a result. They've been in a little bit, dire need for some points after a hot start to the Premier League. So any takes on this game?
Obviously, I think I said it, a week or 2 ago when I said I think Newcastle's going to pull themselves out of the relegation zone and end up like 15th, 16th or so. And this is, I think, in my opinion, a good example of it. The Eddie Howe effect. He comes in, they score 3 goals. They haven't scored 3 goals in a game all season. As a matter of fact, they've only ever scored 2 goals in a game twice so far. And one of them was against they only got 1 point out of those games too. So 3 goals is a big accomplishment for them. That's a well-placed performance. I think they'll start cleaning it up in terms of dropping points at the end. Obviously, they're going to come up against some big boys, but I see this as a positive for them. I see this as an upward tick compared to where they were trending for most of the year.
Okay. We head over to Norwich 2-1 against Southampton.
Yeah, almost a little bit of a smash and grab, to be honest. Norwich 8 shots, Southampton 17, and then also 37% possession for Norwich versus 63 for Southampton. Come away 2-1 winners. Big win for them in the battle of relegation. They now sit in 19th place, 8 points. Those are the types of games that they're going to have to win, and they're going to have to get some point out of if they want to have any chance of surviving. So it's good for them. For Southampton, probably, unfortunately, one of their more likely to be relegation, I don't say candidates, but probably in that dogfight, realistically, as a team that could potentially be jumped. It's a loss. They're it's a loss, but overall, in the past 5 games, they've been a pretty good run of form. So I wouldn't say I'd be looking too much into it, but something to just worry about if they're losing to the games like that. So
do you think this kickstarts Norwich a little bit? That's 2 wins in a row. That's 2 wins in a row after not won all year. And we said if they were going to stand a chance, they had to win the next 5 games because it was Brentford, Southampton, Wolves, and Newcastle. And they're 2 for 2 so far.
I want to see the rest of these games right now, how they play out over time. I still think that unfortunately, I think they're a shoo-in for relegation.
I'm with you, unfortunately.
If they can, I don't see them picking up maximum points by any means over the next couple games, but if they somehow manage 9 out of 12 for the next 4, they give themselves a hell of a shot at least, because typically relegation, what are you looking at? Like 30 to
38, you're safe.
Yeah, 30 to 35 points, it's like questionable. Like you're in that range. 38 to 40, you usually get safe. If they can get to about 17 over the next couple of weeks, maybe right before January, they give themselves more than enough of a shot to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I'm with you guys though too. If I had to pick one of the teams, that I think they're definitely right now to go down, unfortunately. But
so over the last couple of years, starting like even at 2017, the team that's avoided relegation for 3 years in a row got 36 points up until last year when they only needed 29 points. So 35 seems to be the mark. 36 seems to be the mark, like that area.
I mean, yeah, they win a couple more. What's that? 9, 17. Get them halfway there almost if they were able to pull that off. It's possible, and especially after the dismal start that they had, never know.
Yeah, 2 big games.
Yep, absolutely. Then we got Watford. Well, what a game this was. Watford 4, Man U 1.
Ole is no longer at the wheel, and it's because he drove the bus into a pond, a lake, an ocean. Honestly, the black hole, whatever you want to call it at this point. Poor Ole, man. It breaks my heart because especially at the end of that last game, you knew the sack was coming. And I don't know if you guys saw the footage of Bruno Fernandes standing out there after he was apologizing to the fans, and he basically was saying it's not his fault, it's ours. And for him to say that, it's especially the comments he had earlier in the year, him and Pogba both had. You kind of starting to believe it. I mean, a lot of players on that team underperformed. It's not like players were performing and they weren't getting results due to bad tactics. Rashford looked garbage. Fred was garbage. I mean, there was a lot of people on that team not playing up to their pedigree, but nonetheless, it was time for him to go. Yeah. United, that game could have been worse. They gave up a PK in the opening 8 minutes. De Gea saved it. It was retaken. He saved it again. That could have been 1-0 in the opening 8 minutes. I mean, it didn't take very long for them to get going again. Joshua King scores. Ismaila Sarr scores, who's been terrific for them all year. And then 2 stoppage time goals. Harry Maguire, another guy, he might put his hands in his ears to silence all the haters, but he comes out in the very next game in the domestic league and gets 2 yellow cards and gets sent off, during a 2-1 game at that point. So it was time. It'd be interesting to see who takes the helm. Rumor is Zidane, but like you guys just said, they're talking about Manchester United not Manchester United, PSG at this point. But we'll say it's not looking good from the moment, but there's still time for them to come back, unless West Ham can keep up the form they're running in.
Yeah, definitely. 3 or 4 weeks too late with the sacking and all honesty. I'll be interesting to see what they do afterwards, but they had to make the decision. They had to rip the Band-Aid off. It's unfortunate because Ole is a super cool, nice dude. He's a good dude in general.
Yeah.
He can only take that team so far, and he just doesn't seem like that kind of personality and that type of guy also to like really rile somebody up, like especially in that halftime when you're losing or something along those lines. I think whatever personality they bring in has to be, almost like that Conte type who they probably should have got when they had the opportunity, who will take no shit from these players. And
do you think it was a lack of respect? Because these big name players making all that money?
It was a lack of respect. I think it was players too comfortable. I think it was people.
No motivation.
No motivation. It was people who are too comfortable, not getting pushed the way they should be pushed.
Yeah.
Do you think he was ready for the Man U job?
No, not at all. I don't think he gets another opportunity in the Premier League, in all honesty. I think maybe he gets an opportunity potentially like a relegation team or like a high-end championship team, but I don't see him managing another large Premier League team at all.
I don't know. I would, at the moment, I would have to agree with Mike, but I can't help but thinking about all the similarities between this and the Moyes situation, and look where Moyes is at now. Look what he's done. I mean, clearly there's an issue going on with the board. If you just run through 4 managers who all have a history of success for the most part, well, not Ole because he basically got the starting job there, and everyone's running out of town. And now Louis van Gaal's managing Netherlands, who are just absolutely on fire. You have David Moyes obviously on fire with West Ham, and Jose Mourinho is starting to turn things around back at Roma, and that's saying something. So I like to think that I think he could do it. I don't think his tactics were ever terrible. I just think his players always played like crap for him. Always. There was no pressing when he wanted them to press. I mean, he wanted a midfield signing, and he basically didn't get anybody. They got lucky. They got Bruno, but I don't think he'll get a chance in the Premier League again, but I think he will have success abroad. I can see him like in maybe like League One or Bundesliga, maybe even.
Gotcha. Then we got Wolves 1-0 against West Ham. Jimenez gave him the win. Couldn't do it in a cold, snowy night in Edmonton. but he was able to help him grab all 3 points against a tough West Ham team, top 4 team. A huge win for Wolves, who have slowly crept into 6th place and a European spot right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Arsenal's 5th, right? They're 6th now. Both of them were 0-3 to start the year off, and tables have turned a little bit. What's your guys' take on Wolves right now and their kind of revival?
I think they're where I don't want to say where I thought they would be, but they're definitely playing to the potential I think they have. I don't think they'll stay in that 6th position. I think they'll probably, as the season goes on, regress a little bit as a team overall. But to what we've been saying, like, I've never been concerned about them as a team. I think they have a really good coach in Bruno Lage, who's put in a really good system that works for their players. And it's awesome again to see Jimenez doing really well. And that Wolves team, it seems like they all play for each other in that system. So
yeah, I'm just gonna echo what Mike said. I mean, we said it was too early to judge them as relegation contenders. I mean, even the games they were losing, they looked very good.
It was 1-0.
It was only a matter of time.
Everybody.
Yeah, they lost 3 games. The first 3 games were 1-0s. Yeah. It was only a matter of time until things started clicking and they started getting back into goals and moving up.
No, I agree with you guys. Do you think they're overperforming then, or they hang on to one of the last European spots?
I think they're overperforming right now. I think they'll probably drop down to like the 8 to 10 range, which is probably where they'll end the season, in my opinion. But I think they're like just teetering on like that, potentially good enough to be in Europe, but not right there.
I don't know. I don't think they're overperforming. I think the teams around them are underperforming, and it's making them look like they're overperforming. I mean, Leicester City, Manchester United, and Tottenham and Everton are lower than I think anyone would have thought they were at this point in the season. So I think if 19 points, 6 wins, 5 losses, that's kind of where I expect them to be at this point, I think.
Okay, gotcha. Then we head over to one of the more interesting games, I guess, in a different sense. Liverpool 4, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, Liverpool just absolutely bent Arsenal over. I mean, there's just no nice way to say it. I mean, they were all over. We said it earlier. Liverpool is probably the most informed team in the world, and it showed immediately. I mean, they just completely shut down Arsenal. I think, Steve, you were saying it's like Liverpool's kind of reflection of what Arsenal want to be, and it's just not there yet. Maybe it needs more time, more signings and whatnot. But that front 3 for Liverpool, I was looking at it today. 4 players are in like the tied for between 1 and 10 in the scoring chart for the league. 4 of their players, Firmino and Jota have 4. Salah's leading with 11, and Mane is 3rd with like 7. Like, they are just lights out right now. And I mean, no offense to Arsenal, their defense was never going to be able to handle that. There's very, very few teams in the world that can. If Diego Simeone can't do it 2 times in a row, I mean, it's
good luck.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You see that spat though? What was that fight all about? You see that?
Mane kind of apparently like went up and went for a header, and it looked like he kind of elbowed Tomiyasu. Really, he was like looking at the ball, but Arteta took it the opposite way, and then Klopp did not like the way he reacted. In poetic fashion, Mane scored the goal. So.
Yeah.
Then we head over to Manchester City, 3-0 against Everton.
Yeah. I wish I could say it was a contest, but in all honesty, that game could have been a lot worse for Everton. 3-1 was probably very deserved for Man City. They had at least the 2 initial goals were unbelievable. The Cancelo assist outside the boot to the hat, one-time finish to Raheem Sterling. And then the Rodri bomb from like 25 yards out left Pickford, honestly, with sprawling at air, no chance. There were 2 phenomenal goals in 2 different types of ways. And after that, those goals went in, they kind of just put the game away. And that was essentially it. So
City had over 1,000 touches that match. I have looked at just about every match so far this year, and I can't remember seeing over 1,000 for that. I mean, that's just dominance.
They were unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's too early, but Sterling seemed like probably the odd man out so far, and there was talks about him leaving. Somewhat of a revival here after this game. He's looked pretty well.
I don't think revival. I think Pep knows what he has in a player, but I mean, Sterling's obviously not happy. And if he's gonna talk about leaving the club, I don't think Pep's the manager is gonna put up with that shit. Plain and simple. I mean, he has enough other options that doesn't have to play Sterling if he doesn't need him to.
He has $100 million option sitting on the bench. So
yeah, exactly. I think Pep,
yeah,
he'd sooner go back to a 5-man defense just to lose an attacker, I think, than to put up with that shit. But I mean, Gabriel Jesus, Riyad Mahrez. I mean, come on, he can play whoever he wants.
Gotcha. Just a little question thrown out there, maybe for my fantasy team as well.
Yeah, no, hey, that was my idea.
And the last game of the weekend, we had Spurs 2, Leeds 1.
Yeah, to say the least. Leeds had a amazing half in the first half, made Spurs almost look like the Nuno team from past couple games. Very timid on the ball, afraid to make a mistake. But then at halftime, Conte made some pretty brilliant tactical decisions and switches, and more or less told the team to push up higher, make the Leeds players think faster, move the ball quicker. And it caused a couple turnovers in the midfield, which ultimately led to the first goal. And then the second goal got a pretty lucky deflection off the free kick. But Spurs come away 2-1 winners, still early stages. But you can see, at least for Spurs, there's a plan in place. They're trying to work towards something. The international break for them probably came at the perfect time, given a lot of their players aren't necessarily on that international break, at least the majority of the starting 11. So got time to implement a system, and they're moving towards something. They're now and I believe it's what position? It's
like seventh
or eighth.
Seventh.
19 points. And they have a pretty favorable run of games coming up. So there's every opportunity that Spurs could make a pretty solid run over the next couple of games. They're playing Burnley, Brentford, Norwich, Brighton, Leicester. So
yeah. I said it when they sacked Nuno. I mean, regardless, I know they didn't look good when they've been playing, but he didn't leave him in the worst position to challenge for those top 4 spots.
Yep.
And you think this game was a little bit lucky for Spurs? I mean, there were large portions of that. Leeds looked the better team. I mean, they dominated the stat line overall as well, and it took a deflection and post job. I mean, Harry Kane had a couple
100%.
opportunities he didn't put away. Do you think it's just a blip trying to get adjusted to the new Conte system, or do you think they're a little bit fortunate?
I think they're fortunate because Leeds definitely had a couple of good opportunities besides the goal, but they were more shots of like 20 yards, 25 yards out. And they were, I don't want to say Hugo had it covered necessarily, but he did have to work a little bit.
Yeah.
I think from Leeds' perspective too, they should probably be kind of hitting that panic button a little bit, given where they're sitting, given the way that they're kind of playing. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely questions to ask about, their ability to have a plan B, a plan C if like shit isn't going well. So.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Agreed.
Any thoughts on the Harry Kane's situation? Just the lack of goals and the transfer talk in the beginning of the year?
I think it comes down to that, and he just didn't necessarily want to be there. But now that Conte is there, I mean, you can kind of, I don't know, I feel like he'll start actually giving a shit now because Conte is there. I think he actually believes there's a real opportunity, because the way he responded to Mourinho too was he really bought into that system as a world-class manager, and Conte is obviously in a lot better of a prime than Mourinho was when they brought him in. So I think he'll respond well. It's just taking time right now.
Gotcha.
I think he'll buy in. Sorry, go ahead. You're good. No, you're good. I was
gonna say, let's head over to our bold predictions category. We first up, Arsenal versus Newcastle.
I want to say Newcastle so bad.
You wouldn't be the only one.
Oh, I would love to say Newcastle, but now at the Emirates, it's too soon for Newcastle to start picking up points at a stadium like this against an Arsenal team. I think they'll probably walk away maybe 2-0, 2-1 winners.
I'd agree. 2-1 Arsenal, just given the form, and Newcastle, granted, I don't think they have the attacking quality to keep up with Arsenal, and defensively pretty shit.
Maybe if this was like post January transfer window when Haaland and Mbappe showed up, they'd have a chance. But
whoa, 2023, you don't want to mess with.
All right, 2020.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Arsenal win too. But it's gonna really depend on which Arsenal shows up though at the same time. So Newcastle could easily nick a point if they're looking at anything like the Liverpool game. The next up, we got Palace hosting Villa.
That's gonna be a good game.
I like it.
I kind of get the feeling we're going to see the trend continue. And we're going to see some points shared in this game. Maybe a 1-1, 2-2 draw. I don't know. The way Stevie G has them playing, they're coming off the win. They're probably going to be having a lot of confidence coming in. Palace is going to be Palace. Fight for every ball, play their hearts out. To me, it's got 2-2 probably written all over it, 1-1. So something like that.
I'm going to go Palace win here. Really good run of form. I think Stevie G just took over, and he's probably going to be trying to implement his ideology, and I think it's going to take some time to stick. I think they're a bit fortunate to come away with those 3 points last week, especially leaving as late as they did. And Newcastle is just humming under Patrick Vieira right now.
All right, we're gonna have 3 different ones. I'm gonna go Villa. Actually, I think Palace's run comes to an end
like
finally. I don't like the way their midfield really looked too much. I know Conor Gallagher's pretty active, but the rest of the mid didn't really look up to par last game, and you could tell he looked sluggish. Not sure if that's just the Premier League finally starting to take a toll on them 12 games in, but wasn't a big fan of the way they looked. The 3-3 draw, obviously. I mean, they grabbed the point, they're doing what they're doing, but they've been very leaky in defense lately as well, and I think Villa should be able to exploit it. Then next up, we got Liverpool versus Southampton. Who's taking that Southampton win?
Liverpool.
Guess Mike's not. Okay.
I don't know about that one. I'm just going to skip this one. I don't even think I need to.
All right, Liverpool it is. Then next up, we got Norwich versus Wolves.
Wolves.
Yeah, I'm going to say a Wolves win also. I think their attack is just too seamless, too intricate for a Norwich defense to keep up with. So
I'd love to say Norwich here too. I really would, but I just can't.
I'm gonna take a draw here. Wolves really haven't been blowing people out. They're going away from home. God, yeah, I got hope for Norwich to score though. That's the tough part. They have been lately. Pookie's been stepping up a little bit and tucking some goals away. So I'll take the 1-1 draw on this.
Okay.
Then we got, I think it's the primetime game on Saturday. Brighton versus Leeds.
That's the primetime game?
I think on Saturday, yeah.
I'll take a draw here. I think both teams are in a bit of a slide. Obviously, we know the struggles that Leeds have been having. And after Brighton's start, it's kind of sunken back into a familiar pattern that we've seen over the last couple seasons. And I know they played a pretty good game recently, but I think both teams are going to be fairly evenly matched with a staunch defense in Brighton and a pretty electric attack in Leicester. And I think they're just going to cancel each other out.
Leeds.
Mike goes Leeds.
No, I'm saying
Leeds till they win.
I'm saying you said Leicester. It's Leeds.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Leeds. Yeah. Sorry.
That being said, I think this is the game where Brighton bounces back. They win 2-1 or maybe even 2-0. And I think after this game in particular, once that win happens, you're going to start hearing some serious talk about is Marcelo Bielsa still the man for the job at Leeds.
Right.
In my opinion. So
Steve, care to make it a 3-for-3 pick?
Nah, I'm gonna take the 1-1 draw here.
You're taking the draw.
I'm gonna have draws all day.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Brentford versus Everton.
The way Everton have been playing, I don't know.
Brentford hasn't been so hot either, though.
Brentford haven't been hot either, and I get the feeling this might be a game for both of them to share points. Maybe like 0-0, 1-1, low scoring. So we'll see.
Steve?
I'm gonna go Brentford win. Maybe they get back on track here. I also just don't want to pick another draw. I just don't like the way Everton's look. I don't know if Dean Smith, right? He went to Everton.
No.
What?
No, where did he go?
Dean Smith is at Norwich.
Norwich, correct.
About Rafa?
Wow, I'm shocked, dude. Yes, regardless, don't like the way they've been looking. Why do I think he just got fired from there? I'm shook right now. Yeah, I'm gonna go Brentford win. Everton look like absolute dog poopy lately.
Yeah, I agree, but I think they've had a really tough run of it against City, and then they had Tottenham before that, and then a Wolves team that was back in form. I know they don't look good, but I think they'll snap out of this streak here. Brentford have not been instilling confidence in me so far. I mean, I don't think they've won a game since the opening 3 games of the season.
Has it been that long?
They only have 3 wins.
Yeah, they've been dropping points like flies. So sinking like a lead balloon.
So what I hear from a gambler's perspective is they're due.
Yeah, they won through all 3 of their games within the first 5 games of the season.
They're due. Got it. All right, Brentford it is.
All right.
Then we got Burnley hosting Tottenham.
Yeah. Let's see. Sean Dyche, great defense. Who's
It's
actually
the moral conundrum for you.
got a Burns and scoring a pretty good amount of goals too right now.
Yeah.
I want to believe that Christian Romero will be back for this game also for Spurs, so that defense will be a little bit better. I get the feeling that Spurs are probably going to have a similar scoreline, 2-1, the way they just played against Leeds, and that's probably what I would expect realistically.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another tight affair for them. It's going to be tough to break down that defense like it always is, especially with Kane misfiring, but I think they'll see a way through it. I like Tottenham for the win this week.
Yeah, it's fully a trusting Conte kind of call for me as well. I think they have enough talent just to get by. But also at Turf Moor, I would not be shocked with a draw or even a Burnley somehow masterclass as well. So sorry, Mike. Actually, Mike wins both ways. He likes Dyche, he likes Tottenham. Then we got two teams opposite of form right now. We got Leicester City versus Watford.
I don't.
Big loss versus big win right now.
I know. I'm stuck on this one. I knew this was going to be my pick of the week, where I just can see this one going any which direction. But if I had to choose, I think Leicester bounced back. I think United were in a terrible run of form, as good of a game as they played. I think Leicester will pull this one out of the hat.
I want to say a 1-1 draw in this game. Just given the way the teams have played recently, I think there's a lot of confidence flowing through Watford right now, especially given their positioning in the table. Leicester, and they'll probably see a Leicester team that's floundering and think they have a good opportunity to catch up and get pretty close to them. I think they share the points in this.
I'm going to take a Leicester win, but the odd chance that Watford does pull off 3 points, are we talking anything about Rodgers' job security?
I think you start the discussion. I don't think it goes anywhere, though.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we got one of the matches of the week, I would say, Manchester City versus West Ham.
Yeah, this is good. This is going to be a good one. I know Chelsea, Manchester United are this week also, but I think this is the match of the week. Both teams are playing extremely well. I mean, that's no secret. I'm taking West Ham. West Ham win.
It is bold predictions.
Yep, I'm taking them.
That's bold, but I don't have.
You can take them yourself because I'm going Man City.
I don't have to against Man City right now. Just watching the way they played and dissected Everton, so I can't see it
going for the upsets.
And then last but not least, Vito already gave us a spoiler alert, but we got Chelsea hosting Manchester United.
Yeah, I already filled out the prediction tracker as Chelsea for all 3 of us. So
I mean, I'm not arguing it, but
you were taking the liberty of doing that. But yeah, Chelsea.
The last 2 times these teams have met, though, in the league have been 0-0 draws.
Before that, I think Man
U 2 different teams now at this point, but
yeah. Before that, though, Man U had quite a good run when Frankie Lamps was in there at the helm.
Yeah.
In the league, yeah, they had won like the previous 2 before that in the league, but and even in one in the AFL Cup. So, I mean, these teams have played like 30 times, and it's 11 wins for Chelsea, 10 draws, and then 12 wins for United. So it's neck and neck since like 2010.
Gotcha. Any other kind of final thoughts on the weekend? I thought we had a lot of exciting action.
We missed one thing in particular, not in the UK, but across the pond in France. Another player, Dimitri Payet, pelted in the face this time. I watched the video. Pretty hard by a water bottle during a corner.
Why is it always Marseille?
He was the initial one too, wasn't he? Like the very first one this season.
Yeah, he got involved in the first one.
He's really getting like messed up this year. And
Marseille's had like 4 fights this year already. It's like week 3.
Really?
I don't know how they're gonna have to start banning people from like the stadium at this point. Like I
It
don't
feels
know.
like Italy.
Empty fan games
I don't know how else
Get them out of the front 10 rows.
like. There's no way
out of reach.
Yeah.
There's no way they can't do some type of repercussion, points deduction, something, because at this point, all jokes aside, like, he was injured. He got pelted in the face with a full water bottle from probably 20 feet, 30 feet away at a bare minimum, which
hurts like snipe. Let's put it that way.
Like, yeah, it was a bullet of a shot.
Really good throw. We should recruit him for the Mets. we could use a pitcher.
Rightfully so, they called the game off, but I mean, they have to really do something to solve and curb that issue.
Yeah, it was funny. I shouldn't say funny because you don't want to see like fighting stuff, but you get what I mean. It's like it was comical to see like a little scrap at the game. You don't see that very often. It's like, oh, well, that'll happen. But if it happens like 4-5 times in the opening 3 months, it's a problem. Yeah, it's a real issue.
Yeah,
slightly. Anything else?
Who do you think gets the managerial role at United? Do you think they even appoint someone, or do they leave an interim manager for a little while?
I think eventually it's going to be Pochettino. I think he has, from all reports, not the greatest relationship with the sporting director at PSG. He tried to leave in the summer, and then he signed that new contract or whatever. But I still think that relationship is pretty sour. And if that Man U job is available to him, I kind of get the feeling that he's willing to burn some bridges at PSG and go do that for whatever reason, even though he has probably debatably the best front three in the world right now, from just a pure talent perspective. But
yeah,
I think it's Pochettino's job to lose.
Zidane replace him and then Poch to Manchester United, right? The old bait and switch.
That's kind of what I would expect. Yeah.
What about Carrick? Any chance you think?
No. Club legends after the fuck no. Absolutely not.
I don't think Ronaldo would ever listen to Carrick.
Let's turn that one down. Why not? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't see it again.
That's fair. That's very fair. That'll do it for this episode of the Sunday League Screamers podcast. Like, follow, subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. I'm your host of today's show, Steve McCutcheon, along with Vito Anazelli and Michael Nolan, signing off.